Hi everyone, how's everyone doing? Great. Okay, a group of faculty have met and they provided guidelines for doing the comprehensive exam. This is for the new method. Okay, so anyone since about 2015, you're under this. So what this is talking about is in this area, in the exams area. Okay, and the new doctoral exam, you had the Ph.D. qualifying. That's taken the week before classes, right before the second year starts. And then we had the written and oral comprehensive exams. The written is a 10-page research paper that shows the synergy between the different areas of optics in your particular research area. The oral is a short presentation followed by questions from at least 3 of the 4 focus or core areas. And the guidelines are provided right here. So if you look on the website for graduate students Ph.D., you can percolate all the way down here, and this is under the new exam method where these guidelines are provided. I just wanted to say a few words about the qualifying exam, and that's all I'm going to say. That's administered, as I said, once per year, and that's right before classes start in your second year. Okay, that's all I wanted to say about that. But the comprehensive exam, the written comprehensive exam, I have tons of words up here, and it's not the best talk then, as you're going to hear. I think SOC has a speaker coming in on how to do talks, so don't listen to how I'm doing talks here. It's 10 double-spaced pages, and I underlined that word and made it in bold, synergy, that you have to show this connection between the areas of optics, our core areas. The 4 core areas are optical engineering, optical physics, imaging, and photonics. And at least 3 of those areas are going to be members of your committee, okay, the faculty of your committee. Okay? And you want to show that connection. The oral comprehensive, I'm just going over again what I've said already. It's a 10 to 15-minute presentation that discusses your research project or topic closely related to your research project or research area. And these questions will gauge your understanding of not only your understanding of optics, but your ability to synthesize between those areas comprising your committee. Okay? The eligibility for this exam. You've passed the qualifying exam, that exam that happens at the end of your first year. You're not on academic probation. Academic probation means your GPA is below 3.0. That you have a faculty member who will be your research advisor. You must have an advisor to take this exam. Okay? You have completed the core curriculum. The core curriculum includes the group 1 and 2 and also 3. The 3 depends on your area. If you're in optical engineering or imaging, or if you're in optical physics or photonics, you have to take this group 3 course. The minimum 3.0 GPA, and you have no more than 2 Cs, 1 in the core courses. So the core courses are the 501, 502, 505R, and the one between optical physics, 511L, and what is it, 570 or for the optical physicists. Okay, that you filed a plan of study. That's in grad path. Or is it 544? 507. Oh, 5072. Sorry. Okay, and that you filed a plan of study. Okay, do you guys know what the plan of study is? How many of you have done a plan of study? Plan of study. So plan of study just lists out which courses you're taking for your degree. Now, if you make changes over your duration here, you can always update your plan of study. But you must have fulfilled this part of the eligibility. And that you have 32 units or credits of coursework. And those have to be, yes?
What is the purpose of filing a plan of study if you don't have to follow it?
The university requires it. It provides a document that tells us which courses you're going to take because you've done that in conjunction with your advisor. That, go ahead.
It's sort of an agreement with your advisor.
Yeah.
In terms of what you're sort of agreeing with your advisor in terms of what you're trying to accomplish coursework. Now, clearly, as things change, when the course comes out, you change it. So it's not etched in grammar, but it's, it's a way to put it to start at what you're trying to accomplish in the academic coursework.
And the grad college will look at it and check to make sure that you're following it actually later on. They're fine with that, yeah.
So you can change your courses. Your project might evolve over your duration. Secondarily, you don't want to get to the end of your study here and for us to disallow a course. So it's better to have that in writing beforehand, and that's an agreement between you and us that it's okay for your plan of study for your Ph.D. That must be completed by the semester in which you're going to take the comp exam, and you have submitted your comp exam committee form. So you're going to file this comp exam. Oh.
Based on how this looks, I think my understanding is right. You just have to complete 32 credits by the end of the semester that you also plan on doing your exam.
Yes. Yes. And your comp exam should be completed by the end of the third year of your Ph.D. And it says that on there should. I did not put the should in here. We would like you to have your comp exam completed by the end of your third year. Yes? Yes. Yes.
It's harder to get a committee during the summer.
Yeah, it's harder to get a committee during the summer. Yes?
For those of us that were like the first year, like that had taken the, because a lot of us are like 4 years now, we haven't.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people.
Yes. Remember I said should.
We're not going to get
Yeah. Okay. 4-member committee is for your comp exam committee. 3 of the 4 core areas. Your advisor will be in one area, and then your second member is probably from your advisor's research area, most likely. Okay? There are times that that's not true because your advisor maybe is sort of between 2 research areas, and so then you select someone potentially from a second research area. 3 of the 4 members have to be tenured or tenure eligible and within the College of Optical Sciences. So your 4th can be outside, okay, and or non-tenured track or likewise. So your first member, that's your research advisor. That's the person you're doing your work with. Your second member is selected by your research advisors. Typically, they understand what you're doing. They have a great amount of overlap, or you're working with them. Then your 3rd and 4th members are selected by me. So I have some power there. However, you suggest some names to me, okay? And from there, you're suggesting those names from 2 other core areas, because these first 2 you see those as being within one core area, and then you're going to select 2 other core areas, and then you select some professors. And there are sheets or forms that provide those names and what their core areas are. So if you're in optical engineering, you might select imaging and photonics as your 2 other areas. And you suggest some names within there. Yes?
So what do you do when your advisor's none of the core areas?
And who is your advisor? Olivier is typically seen as optical engineering or physical optics imaging. Okay. I thought his name was on the form. Okay, he might not be. So what? I guess it'd be kind of governed by who your second person is then. Does that make sense? Okay. Then you fill out this form, the Comprehensive Exam Committee Request Form. I have it so we can go to it, but I've actually done screen captures. Here's the long version of it. It is signed by the 1st and 2nd members, so your research advisor and the person your research advisor selected. They both sign off on this form, that they understand it. It's submitted to the Academic Programs Office by the end of the 3rd week of the semester in which the exam should be taking place. Okay? They've gone actually beyond that semester. But if you want to have it within, like, say, the spring semester, we're past the time already. Okay? So you would have to do it in the summer or later. And summer is hard because not all the faculty are available. Here is what that form looks like. I don't know if you've downloaded it or looked at it. And you just fill it out. The second member of the committee will sign down here saying that they agree to serve and they understand basically what's going on. And then your your faculty advisor will sign on the back page. So this is the first page. This is the second page. You get the opportunity to choose the 2 core areas so that you want for your additional people. And then you list some names down here. And right here is the small print where it says you're not necessarily going to get that person, because if everyone in this room requested Ewan Wright, I think he would kill me if I put him on every committee. Okay? You get the option of faculty to exclude. Okay? If I can't use these people up here, you get the get out of jail free card, and so that I won't put those individuals on your committee. Okay? So that's the form, and you can find that under forms, and it's on the whole page. It has links going over there. You get this form, and who do you submit it to? Who do you think you submit this form to? Lindsay. Anyone in the academic programs office. She makes sure that I get it then. You can submit it electronically. You can just drop by and hand it off. Okay? The written comp exam. Here is where some of the issues come up. Yes, Brandon.
From my understanding, currently it says the rule is the same semester, but I thought when I filed it, it just said within a year.
Yeah, it can go later. If you want it within a given semester, it has to be within the first 3 weeks of that semester.
Okay, so if I filed or I submitted this previously and was approved, does that expire, or can I still use that committee?
You can still use that committee. We would rather you get it done in a year, because then the problem becomes I put half of Ewan is on half of your committees, and then the next year I put him on half more committees. Now, and if none of you did it, he might really want to kill me then. Okay? Yeah.
A couple of clarifications. I want to point out that optical physics is different than physical optics. That's come up. And also, in terms of the faculty to exclude, you're allowed to exclude 1.
Yeah.
It says a faculty member.
Yeah. Okay. So the written comp exam. Is that on the right page? Yes. Committee is approved. That's first. Okay, you'll get the result back from Lindsay saying your committee is approved. Here it is. Okay. You're going to write up a 10 double-spaced pages. No more than that. It can be less, but no more than 10. That includes all figures, references, everything. 10 double-spaced pages. So it's not too long of a document. Okay? It's within your research, it's your research project or your research area. Okay? And it should demonstrate, and this is really important, I underlined and bolded this, the synergy and synthesis of this research with the broad area of optics. Okay? So if you're doing something in optical physics, but you have a elaborate optical system that's letting you do what you need to do and you had to design that, you're going to talk about maybe what are the design processes that went on with designing that optical system, the lenses and so forth. I see someone going to raise their hand.
How do you keep this short enough?
It's hard, and that's part of the challenge of this document.
Should it be just a very general overview?
Yeah.
And the oral will be more of like the in-depth conversation? Like, is that more of how this works?
Should we get more discussion of this?
We're getting more discussion of this. So if you want to wait, and then, but if you guys want to chime in right now, okay, that's fine.
Let's get through this.
Yeah.
Discuss your document with your committee members. That's something that is really important to make sure that you're addressing their concerns. They may have specific requests that they want to see in your area because they know a little about what you're doing, or when you're talking to them, you're telling some things, and they go, it might be really good for you to investigate something like this. Okay? How the core areas relate to the research topic. Okay? And you should do that at least for all the core areas of the members who will be on your committee And that's not going to stop you from doing to the other core area either, if you want to carry it on to there. You will iterate this document until it is complete. When is it complete? When you get approval from all 4 committee members. And all 4 must sign off on this document right down here, Oral Comprehensive Exam Scheduling Form. Okay? So then you schedule your oral comprehensive. You find an agreed upon date and time. You can do that by walking from office to office, or a lot of people do little doodle polls or likewise. You submit this form. Once again, Lindsay will get it. She will find a room for you and will inform you and the committee of the date and time and place. Okay? Comp exam guidance. Here is where we spend a lot of time, this committee, on looking at what should be done for the written comp exam. It should be written for and I'm using some of the verbiage in the guidelines, written for a broad audience of optical scientists and engineers, not experts in your field. So if you're working with John Grievenkamp down here, he's an expert in optical engineering. You're not writing it for him. Okay, he's a sort of expert in his field. You're not writing it for him. You're writing it for these guys who are supposedly not experts in optical engineering, but they're pretty good too. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Explain in terms so that students who have completed, I should have said completed the core courses can understand it. Okay, so all of your friends, all of your peers that have completed the core courses should be able to understand this document. Does that make sense? Okay, it's not written as for that expert. It's written for someone that has gone through the core courses. Write at level of grad research fellowship or a scholarship application. So if you're filling out for a fellowship or a scholarship, that's where you're writing it, to that type of audience. Okay? Another good thing to consider, and this is, maybe they'll yell at me after I say this, is look at a membership magazine for a society. Now that's the type of audience that you're writing for. Okay? And you want to include clear motivation and specific research activities and questions in this document. Okay? So what kind of research activities are involved? Why are you doing it? And what questions remain for you to explore in this area? The written exam is not a dissertation proposal. It is not a journal paper. The written exam is closely related to your area. This is me not checking my language. Can even be your intended research topic, but it can't be at such a high level that someone outside of your field cannot understand it. Could be a review and analysis of 2 to 4 technical papers. Okay, that's one of the options that we've listed as an example in there. There are 2 components in this document. Your technical research overview, what basically are you exploring in this document, and your relation of topic to the breadth of optics. Okay, this is the synergy, this is the technical component. So, the written comp exam synergy. Show how the breadth of optics is essential to your research topic. So if you're doing something in photonics, how is optical engineering important in there? There are aspects of that you're maybe exploring some new fibers and you have a new method of coupling into that fiber, and it involves some type of lenses that you've designed that are special for this. Okay, maybe it's an off-axis coupler, and so you're looking at freeform optics. You could then talk about freeform optics being a challenge in there. Textbook descriptions are usually not appropriate. I'm using a laser in here. Here is how lasers work. That's not appropriate. Okay? This synergy has to be incorporated into the overflow of the document. Just don't leave it one section to talk about synergy. It should be throughout the whole document. It is a narrative. Committee can help with this during the writing and approval phase. This is where you should be going and talking to them, getting feedback on how and what you should be doing for this comp exam. And the questions during the oral exam will address both the breadth and the depth. So the breadth gets to the synergy, the depth gets to your technical area. Okay, that you have to understand a lot of components in your technical aspect, not just one little part of it. You have to have some depth. And that is getting beyond maybe what everyone in the committee will understand, but it's not overbearing on the committee. We have no specific template for your written comp exam. That's up for you to decide. No specific template because maybe there's a better way for you to present your argument. Okay? The oral comp, and we'll get back, I don't know if we've answered your question yet. Okay, let's finish this and get to it. So you submit the oral comprehensive exam scheduling form. You should keep meeting with your committee members. Keep getting advice from them. Okay? Prepare a 10 to 15 minute presentation. So you prepared a 10-page double-spaced document, now a 10 to 15 minute presentation. The format is determined by your research advisor in conjunction with your committee. That could be that you prepare a presentation like this. Could mean your advisor and committee might say, no, we want you at the whiteboard doing your presentation. You present presents research project or research area. Okay, this is the technical aspect, and then shows understanding of core academic optics principles. So the core academic principles are those that you saw in the courses that you've taken, the core courses. The questions will gauge your grasp of the principles in optics in your research. This is the technical side once again. The relation of your research to the core curriculum. This gets into the synthesis. And the questions will not solely be those that are on your core course syllabi. So the questions from the committee are going to be probing you a little further than what you've seen just in the courses. Okay. Duration should be about 1 to 2 hours with no more than 3. The committee will then judge your performance in each optics area that you explored. So if your committee is made up of optical engineering, optical physics, and photonics, they'll give you an assessment on each one of those areas. They will talk about the depth in your specialty area. So if I said optical engineering was your specialty area, you want more depth in that area. And then your ability to synthesize between those areas that you presented. Here is that comp exam scheduling form. It's just a one-page document. And as I said, you'll fill this out, hand it in to the 403 Academic Programs Office. You can just hand it off to Ruth. It'll make its way to Lindsay, or just directly hand it to Lindsay if you can. And then the comp exam results. After the oral comp exam, a pass-fail decision will be made, and that is the totality of your written and oral exam. That is one exam. Okay? The pass decision, your comprehensive exam is done. Academic programs will update grad path, and then things will go out to your members of your committee. You have then advanced to Ph.D. candidacy as long as you have a few other requirements. One is that you've completed 2 years in the graduate program here. So if for some way you did your comp exam at year 1.5, then you wouldn't get candidacy till you completed 2 years. Once you get candidacy, you get graduate research associate status. So you get a step up, you get a slight pay enhancement. And if you want to fill out a form, you can get your master's in optics without doing anything else. It's like you've done your oral defense for the master's. The fail decision. Committee will tell you why, and they will ensure that you understand why. Okay? The committee will work for the best time and the requirements for you to retest the oral portion. You only have to retest the oral portion. Because when you handed in the form, they're saying that they approved your written. Okay? One retest is allowed and must be completed within 6 months. Okay? Same committee for the retest. And if at your second examination, if it's a failure, once again, there is dismissal from the Ph.D. program. Okay, I ended this on a negative. So, questions? Why don't we answer your question first? Could you repeat it?
Basically, it's how do I compress all of this information from breadth and depth into such a short paper and such a short presentation?
Let me make some comments.
I want to make some general comments. Hopefully I'll circle around to your question. Look, what's this replacing? This is replacing the old comprehensive exam. And the old comprehensive exam was a comprehensive exam. And you remember you went in and you got 501 questions, 502 questions, 507 questions, 511 questions. And the questions were sort of siloed. You had to stay within the core course. And those exams were becoming stale. Questions were the same. It wasn't clear we were learning much from any individual student about what they could do. And so there was a desire to, and also then we were coupling that with a dissertation proposal exam, which was supposed to happen basically pretty close to after you did your comprehensive exam, except that most people were putting the the dissertation proposal exam off until about a month before they defended their dissertation, which made no sense at all. So there was a goal by the way, this is all coming from FASC, the Faculty Academic Steering Committee, and members of whom are Ewan, Russell, myself, Bob Norwood. It's chaired by Brian Anderson, and John's on it as well. Did I get everybody?
Yeah.
So we've been working on this for a couple of years and been monitoring the process and the progress in terms of implementing this. So the goal was to create a new comprehensive exam structure. But the word comprehensive is the important word. And that's sort of a university requirement, that it's a comprehensive exam covering the breadth of the program. And so we wanted to go after was first get rid of the dissertation proposal exam because it was turning out to be pretty much worthless in terms of the timing it was being done for the most part. And so I think the most important words he put up here was, this is not a dissertation proposal exam. So don't think of it that way. And most of we've been monitoring the writtens, we've been seeing all the writtens that have been done. And what we're finding is that almost everyone is writing it as a dissertation proposal, then trying to sneak the synergies thing in on the side. Okay? And it's not working very well. They're not very satisfying documents for the committees that are reviewing these. And so what you need to be thinking about this is an integrated process from the beginning, where the synergy and synthesis is actually at the core of this written and oral process. By the way, the classic example you would see, one of my students builds an interferometer, and they write about all their interferometer, and somewhere in there they say, it has a laser, optical physics, it has a detector, solid state photonics, and we do some image processing, okay, image science. And that was, and we saw some of that, where you basically got these textbook descriptions of how a laser works, how a detector works, band gaps and stuff like that. And that's not what you're after here, because there's no information gained from that. And the other bit that John said that I think is crucial is you have 4 members of this committee. 2 apparently or supposedly are going to be pretty familiar with what you're working on, and 2 are not. And so the goal of this document is to educate the 2 out-of-field committee members about your field of study and what you're doing. As a result, pages of equations, forget about it. That's not what you're doing. You're really trying, in terms of your dissertation project, assuming that's what you're writing about. And by the way, some of these other options about using a couple of journal articles, those are in place in case you haven't picked a dissertation topic. So you can do this before you settle on a dissertation topic. But you pick a research topic that's out there. And let's see. And so what you're going to do in this is it's going to be, from a technical perspective, fairly high level. This is not going to be down and dirty in the details because, well, you only have 10 pages. And also you're trying to explain it to the people who don't know the details and maybe not even interested in the details. They want to know, why is this important, what you're working on, how does it impact this, that, or the other thing? What are the key things you're trying to accomplish? What problem are you solving? But then there's the synergy. And there you're trying to bring in how other pieces of optics make your research possible. Or if you didn't have those other pieces, why you couldn't do your research. And so this is a very different kind of thing we're asking you to do. We recognize that. And it's an evolutionary process at this point, learning how for all of us to do this. The guidelines we are posting are evolving. They were rewritten middle of last semester, even after a few of these things have happened, based upon some of the first written reports we got back, trying to give you guys better insight into what we're trying to accomplish here. Yeah.
So in terms of the synergy, like the example has been given a few times, like, oh, we use the laser, that's like obviously not sufficient. But would it be something more like what design considerations you had to use for like we had to use this type of laser because of this parameter and whatever, like what?
Yeah, what coherence length did you use? Why'd you use a superluminescent diode instead of a laser, or a solid state instead of a laser, or instead of a gas laser? So what characteristics of the laser were important for your particular system?
So it's more about how we applied like the skills from those core areas, not we used the thing from this core area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were on one. I was on an oral this morning, and it was a design of a free-form mirror system. And the issues came up that, in terms of the resolution, had to do with detector pixels. So we took a nice diversion off into sampled imaging theory, in terms of, because that was actually a relevant topic for specifying the design and the requirements for this imaging system. Now, it was sort of addressed in the written. It could have been addressed better, but we at least got some information about the kinds of things that are peripheral topics that were important that we could explore with you. Yeah.
So if you were to compare groups of students who either succeeded or excelled in the comprehensive exams, and compare students who were struggling with it or failed it the first time, what were some major factors that would differentiate those groups? What were some habits that the successful students were doing? And what were some pitfalls that
Well, we've only seen about 10 of these so far, and I think we've done fewer orals than that. So I think we've seen about 10 writtens, and I think there's maybe been 8 orals or so done. Is that about right?
A little low, but it's on
okay. So there's not great statistics here. I think the biggest failure, from my perspective, having read a lot of these, is it being considered a dissertation proposal with stuff sprinkled in. And that's not working, or that doesn't seem to be the right way to do this. So I think you want to almost approach it more from, you have to synergize the article or the document at the beginning, rather than considering it a dissertation proposal exam and, oh yeah, I got to do this synergy stuff. So
let me get back to your question. So how do you get everything in 10 pages? That is a challenge, okay? That is a challenge. But don't feel like you need to have everything answered. This is a comprehensive exam where you're showing your ability to explain an area and then synthesize it. You're not yet where you have to be an expert, okay? You're learning as you're doing this. And what's more important is that you know depth in your area and be able to talk into the other areas. So you're not going to be able to show everything in this document. And that's where you're going to have to work with your committee and your advisor and come to that sweet spot of where it combines enough from those two.
Yeah, your committee doesn't want to read a long document, especially if you're reading multiple ones a year.
Ewan's reading everyone's in this room.
I've been to more than 50 oral exams, and I haven't failed one yet. Okay? But it is unpleasant when they're failed. And one of the goals in structuring this was, when you get through this written process, to actually make the oral exam much easier for you and for the committee. because with the old structure, you would show up and you would get some questions about geometrical optics, and they could be any place on the spectrum. And if I'm questioning about geometrical optics, I haven't taught the class, so I have different priorities and different ideas of what might be in the curriculum. And same thing as we move through the other areas. Often ask questions to combine these areas for synergy, and some students would handle that very comfortably. Some would be, very narrow in their thought processes. But as PhD students, we've structured the curriculum and the process so that you come out of here being at least familiar with all of these areas. When I received my PhD in optics, I could talk about physical optics and quantum optics and photonics at a certain level. And when you go out and you work, you may have trained in photonics, but you're going to dethrone problems or end up working in other areas. So by producing this document and your committee reading this document, it's going to guide the questions that you receive in the oral exam. We're still going to tend to ask you about geometrical optics and physical optics and imaging and quantum optics, but we have this document to focus our attention. We're not limited to the document, but it will focus our attention, and it will make it easier for us to ask you questions.
I'm going to follow up one more about your question about length. This is not a dissertation proposal exam. And we're forcing you to do this early in your career here, often before you've really done a lot of work on your dissertation. So in the past, we've had these dissertation proposal exams that were essentially a preview of the dissertation. And yeah, there's a lot of detail in there. Here we're doing them early on, often before you actually get into much depth of your dissertation work. You don't have your dissertation completed. You may not have any data. You may have an idea about this is what I would like to do because this is the important problem. And we're going to attack it by trying to do this, this, and this. So you're not sitting there with reams of data, and also you're trying to do this at a high level, addressing it at the out-of-field committee members. So pages of equations, don't do it. But those are the things that actually I think make it a viable document at this length, because you're not going into as much depth as we traditionally have when we've done the old dissertation proposal exams. So it's not a dissertation proposal exam.
Just one thing, and that is, I would view your committee as a resource for this. So as you're going forward and you think, I'm on the right track, go and talk to the committee, because they will give you feedback about, look, you could talk about this area, this would be something I'd like to see you talk about. It gives us material for what to talk about on the oral exam. So I think that's a key part. If you don't turn out to talk to the committee, I think you're missing a big part of this. I think it's very important. So it will help you shape it and also give you some input to the exam. Okay?
Who's up here? Go ahead.
Okay. I was curious how much you guys would like us to motivate this. To say what we're doing or this research area is valuable because of X, as opposed to just this.
Yes.
It's boring if you don't motivate.
Yeah. Research without motivation doesn't have much purpose.
So I have a different, situation than many students here. I started early doing research with Dr. Barton, even before starting the PhD program. Can this document be my current project and how I have used this other knowledge to make it happen?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. It might not be your dissertation ultimately, because your dissertation might evolve to something completely different, but it's fine.
I mean, that's really similar to my question. It was like, you said we have an idea of where we want to go, and then we do this whole presentation, and then we realize that I really don't want to do this. Is that
You passed the exam.
Yeah.
This is like when...
this is not a dissertation proposal exam.
Yeah. Like when Colton asked about the plan of study. Oh, we can change the plan of study? This is not necessarily what you're going to research. It's probably close or in the same area, and it doesn't even have to be that. Okay? It's showing that you can go into depth and also look at how all the other flavors of optics in these core areas play a role in what you're doing.
That you can handle yourself at the Ph.D. level in a
Yeah.
general optics discussion with us. That's what we're assessing.
Are all even though there's only been 8 to 10 or so oral comprehensives given, are all the faculty members familiar with the new structure, and is there any sort of standardization as far as pass-fail, or is that kind of up to their decision?
Okay. The question is, are all the faculty members on board and trained?
Pretty much, right?
Kind
The answer is not yet. We're working on that.
And one of the way we're working on that is,
You notice John gets to pick 2 of the committee members. For the foreseeable future, one of those 2 committee members will be one of the FASC members. So we will be on the committee to, in fact, help train the other faculty members about what the process is and help monitor the exams and do the things you're talking about. Make sure we're on target for what we're trying to do.
And your writing of this in the correct method will help train too. Everyone will keep onto the same ship then.
best answer I can give you, but we're working on it.
Well, I'll make one other comment. What's the balance between technical and synergy in this written document? Well, there's nothing prescribed. But in my humble opinion, I'd shoot for 50-50. Trying to do 2 things here.
Shoot for 50-50. If it ends up 60-40, no one's going to complain.
It might even be 70-30 if it's integrated properly. But if it's 90-10, technical to synergy, you didn't do it right. I think that would be a true statement, yeah?
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Has it ever been 90-10 synergy to technical?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
No, we have
So
seen.
ideally shoot for more synergy, and you probably won't overshoot it.
You'll come back because of what you were asking. How do you put all that technical depth? You'll get all that depth, and it'll pull you more towards the technical end. So shoot for more synergy, and you'll probably end up at 50-50.
You'll be lucky if you end up at 50-50 is what it's going to turn out.
I have specific questions on my committee. Can I come talk to you guys after this?
What do you mean by specific questions?
Nobody on my committee is part of my area, and nobody's on that committee.
Yeah, if it's on the logistics side and administrative, that's me and Lindsay.
Unless I misheard the names, but I don't think any of my names were on that committee.
That might have been done before. A number of committees were appointed, and I was inundating everyone on the committee, and then all of a sudden we pulled back. So you might have been one of the few that didn't get that luxury.
Like, because mine was also, I think, nobody's on there.
And someone might have been on, or has it been FASC? Has it been the same the whole time?
FASC changed.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Oh, yeah, maybe somebody did it.
So you can come and talk to me, and then I or someone else from the committee can talk to those individuals.
And while you really want to talk to your committee,
Yeah.
I'm sure that all the members of FASC will be happy to chat with you as well.
Yeah.
So, you excited about this?
We are.
Does this sound better or worse than the old?
Well, the old one sort of seemed like similar to the written thing, but just like doing it on the spot.
Let me give you another perspective. Part of this is you can put your best foot forward because you're choosing an area. Now you have to do the synergy as well, but you're starting from a point where you've chosen it. And so you can choose something where you shine. So it's very good.
And in the old exam, you were taking the comprehensive maybe in your second, third year. And how far was that removed from when you took those classes? So that made the studying probably more laborious than it is now for the written, where that it's the formal written exam answering questions.
I'm going to give you another little piece of advice. Pay attention to what you write. If you put a slide up and it has some term, we're really good at identifying that term and going, we could ask about that. So, and those are good ways for us to find the synergy discussion topics that go along with this. So one thing that when you're doing a presentation, especially one that's for an exam, never put anything on your slides that you don't understand. Because there's a good chance that's the thing that'll be pulled out. And what that also means in terms of the questioning, you have a great deal to direct the questioning. Because if you all of a sudden put in, such and such bad guy, blah, 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 well, guess what? That's probably where you're going to get pushed in the questioning.
If there's a Schrodinger equation with a harmonic oscillator, well, then we're more likely to ask about that than something else from quantum mechanics.
So this really puts a lot of stuff in your control.
Well, we're done. If there's no further questions, this will be posted so you can have all your friends look. And, of course, you can come down. As a first resource, you can always come down to the academics office, and we'll try to answer it. And, of course, you can go to the FASC committee or your committee members.
Thank you, guys.